IC Cars just released their longevity report, and the numbers tell a story the car industry doesn't want you to hear. Out of every vehicle sold in America, Toyota dominates the list of cars most likely to reach 250,000 miles. Not by a little, by a lot. But here's what the headlines missed. Even within Toyota's own lineup, the gap between the best and the worst is massive. Some models hold 70% of their value after 5 years. Others lose half their worth before the first oil change is due. The used car market in Phoenix, Dallas, and Denver is proving it right now. Certain Toyotas are selling for more at 150,000 miles than some new Nissans leave the lot for. These are the 10 Toyotas built to last forever, the only ones worth keeping past 150,000 miles. Number 10. The Toyota Avalon. Most people forget the Avalon exists. It lived in the shadow of the Camry for 20 years, and Toyota quietly discontinued it in 2022. But mechanics who know cars know something important about this sedan. The Avalon shared its platform and its drivetrain with the Lexus ES for most of its life. That 3.5-liter V6 engine, the 2GR FE, is one of the most over-engineered motors Toyota ever built. It uses a timing chain instead of a timing belt, an aluminum block with cast iron sleeves. It was designed to run for 20 years without complaint. You can find 2005 to 2018 Avalons on used car lots in Houston and Atlanta, with 275,000 miles, still asking $9,000. That is the quiet flex of this car. It is a luxury sedan hiding inside a Toyota badge, and the engine underneath the hood was built for an entirely different price bracket. If you find a well-maintained Avalon with clean service records, you are looking at a car that will still be running when your neighbor is on their third Nissan Altima. Number 9. The Toyota Sienna. The minivan nobody wants to admit they want. But walk onto any used car lot in Orlando or Las Vegas and ask about Siennas. The sales manager will tell you they cannot keep them in stock. Why? Because the generation from 2011 to 2020 of the Sienna is a fleet vehicle in disguise. Rideshare drivers, airport shuttle companies, church groups, and large families have been running these vans into the ground for over a decade. And they are not dying. The 3.5-liter V6, the same basic architecture as the Avalon, pushes Siennas past 300,000 miles with nothing more than basic maintenance. Oil changes, transmission fluid, spark plugs, brake pads. That is the entire story for the first 250,000 miles. There is a Sienna running around New Jersey right now with over 400,000 miles on the original engine and original transmission. The owner is a youth sports coach who bought it used in 2014. He has never opened the hood for anything other than oil. That is the Sienna. It is not glamorous, it is not going to impress anyone at a red light. But it will outlive your mortgage. Number 8. The Toyota Prius. Now hold on. Before you skip this one, listen to the taxi fleet data. The biggest myth about the Prius is that the hybrid battery will fail at 100,000 miles and cost you $6,000 to replace. That myth has been dead for over a decade. The numbers just take a long time to catch up with the stereotypes. Vancouver, British Columbia, has been running Priuses as taxis since 2005. The city has detailed fleet data showing average taxi Priuses hit 400,000 kilometers on original hybrid batteries. That is roughly 250,000 miles before the battery even starts to show degradation. New York City yellow cab fleets tell the same story. Priuses that started their lives as taxis in 2010 are still running, some approaching 500,000 miles. And the transmissions, the brakes, the electric motors, the batteries are all original. The second and third generation Prius, built from 2004 to 2015, is one of the most reliable vehicles ever made. Not just one of the most reliable hybrids, one of the most reliable vehicles. The planetary gearbox that replaces the traditional transmission has almost no moving parts that can fail. The gasoline engine runs in an efficient RPM range its entire life. Brake pads last 3 times longer than normal because of regenerative braking. If gas prices spike again, and they will, a clean used Prius with documented maintenance is the smartest used car purchase in America right now. Number 7. The Toyota 4Runner. This is where the truck people start paying attention, and for good reason. The 4th and 5th generation 4Runner, built from 2003 all the way through 2024, is the last body-on-frame, mid-size SUV that Toyota makes with an old-school mechanical approach. No turbos, no complicated direct injection, no downsized engines trying to squeeze out extra fuel economy. Just a 4-liter V6 bolted to a proven 5-speed automatic transmission, sitting on top of a truck frame. The 1GR-FE engine in the 4Runner is legendary among off-road mechanics. It has been pulled out of rolled 4Runners in Moab with 280,000 miles on the clock, dropped into other vehicles, and run for another 100,000 miles without issue. Here is the used market anomaly. A 2015 4Runner with 120,000 miles sells for roughly 70% of its original manufacturer suggested retail price in Denver right now. That is unheard of for any vehicle, let alone one that is a decade old. The reason is simple. Buyers know that the 4Runner is not halfway through its life at 120,000 miles. It is barely broken in. If you want an SUV you can pass down to your kid, the 4Runner is the answer. Number 6. The Toyota Corolla. The car that taught a generation how to drive. The car your grandmother bought in 2009 and still drives to the grocery store. The car that makes up half of every community college parking lot in America. The Corolla is easy to dismiss because it is everywhere, but that ubiquity is exactly the point. Toyota has built over 50 million Corollas. The production scale means every single component has been tested, refined, and stress-tested across billions of miles of real-world driving. The 1ZZ-FE engine from the early 2000s had some oil consumption issues in specific production years. Toyota fixed it. The 2ZR-FE engine that replaced it starting in 2009 is one of the most bulletproof 4-cylinder engines ever mass-produced. Simple port injection, timing chain, cast iron crankshaft. It is a farmer's engine dressed up in a commuter car. Rideshare drivers in Chicago and Philadelphia regularly push Corollas past 300,000 miles on nothing but oil and filters. The interiors get worn out before the engines do. If you need a daily driver that will not break you financially and will not strand you on the highway, a used Corolla from 2014 onward is the single safest bet in the American used car market. Number 5. The Toyota Camry. If there is a car that defines the American commuting experience, it is the Camry. But not every Camry is created equal. The generation we care about starts in 2007 and runs through the present day. Specifically, the 2AR-FE 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine, introduced in 2010, is a masterpiece of boring engineering. Nothing exciting about it, nothing fast about it, but it will run forever. Uber and Lyft drivers in Los Angeles and Miami swear by the Camry for one reason. They can drive it 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it refuses to break. The fleet managers at major rental companies have internal data showing Camrys racking up over 200,000 miles in rental service, cycling through thousands of different drivers and still passing inspections. There is a Camry in the Phoenix metro area that passed 1 million miles in 2023. The owner, a traveling sales representative, kept the original engine and original transmission. Toyota bought the car back and put it in a museum. 1 million miles. On a Camry. With regular maintenance, that is not a marketing story. That is a statement about how these cars were engineered. Number 4. The Toyota Tacoma. Before we get into this, we need to address the frame rust issue. Between 1995 and 2004, some Tacomas experienced serious frame corrosion, particularly in northern states that use road salt. Toyota recalled them and ended up buying back or replacing frames on hundreds of thousands of trucks. It was a real problem. But here is what people miss. Once the frame issue was resolved, the rest of the truck was indestructible. And the second generation Tacoma from 2005 to 2015, along with the third generation that followed, does not have the same rust issue. Walk onto a used car lot in Sacramento or Seattle and try to buy a 2012 Tacoma with 150,000 miles. You will pay more than you expect. Sometimes you will pay more than a brand new compact sedan. The reason is the 4.0-liter V6 engine, the same basic motor found in the 4Runner, combined with a proven truck frame and a transmission that just does not quit. Contractors in Texas, ranchers in Montana, fishermen in Alaska buy used Tacomas specifically because they know the truck will outlast the job. Tacomas hitting 350,000 miles on original drivetrains are not rare. They are expected. The Tacoma is the truck you buy once and own for 20 years. Number 3. The Toyota Highlander. The Highlander is the grown-up family SUV that nobody writes about because it refuses to do anything wrong. There are no exciting YouTube videos about the Highlander. There are no controversies. There are no recalls that make the evening news. It just works. From 2008 onward, the Highlander runs the same general V6 platform that powers the Sienna and the Avalon. That means the same bulletproof drivetrain, wrapped in a 3-row SUV body that is perfectly sized for American families. The real story is in the maintenance data. Average annual repair costs for a Highlander past 100,000 miles are among the lowest in the entire midsize SUV segment. Edmunds and Kelley Blue Book both track this, and the Highlander consistently lands at the bottom of the cost-to-own charts. Families in suburban Chicago and Minneapolis are running 2010 Highlanders past 250,000 miles as their primary vehicles. School pickup, road trips, grocery runs. The vehicle just keeps showing up every morning, ready to go. When a Highlander does finally break, it is usually because of accident damage or neglected maintenance. Not because the car gave up. Number 2. The Toyota Tundra. Now we are in serious territory. The Tundra, specifically the 2007 through 2021 generation with the 5.7-liter V8, the 3URF-E engine, is one of the most overbuilt production trucks ever sold in America. Ford and Chevy sell more trucks. That is not up for debate. When you look at longevity data, the Tundra is in a league of its own. The V8 is a naturally aspirated, port-injected, iron-sleeved aluminum block motor that was engineered to run for 1 million miles. There's a famous Tundra that crossed 1 million miles. A contractor in Louisiana bought a 2007 Tundra new, drove it for his business, and hit the 1 million mile mark in 2016. Toyota inspected the engine, and it was still within factory specifications. They gave him a brand new Tundra in exchange and put the original in a museum. That is not a cherry-picked story. Working Tundras past 400,000 miles on original engines are common in oil and gas fields across Texas, Oklahoma, and North Dakota. The drivetrain simply outlasts the bodywork. If you want a full-size pickup that you will never have to replace. The Tundra with the 5.7-liter V8 is the truck. It is thirsty, it drinks fuel, but it will still be running in 2050. And number 1, the Toyota Land Cruiser. There is no second place. The Land Cruiser is the reason Toyota has the reputation it has today. The 100 series Land Cruiser, built from 1998 to 2007, and the 200 series that followed, from 2008 to 2021, are the most over-engineered SUVs ever put into mass production. Full stop. Here's the appreciation story. A 2001 Land Cruiser in good condition with 180,000 miles on it sold for $32,000 at a Barrett-Jackson auction in Scottsdale last year. When it was new, that same Land Cruiser cost around $55,000. So after more than 2 decades and nearly 200,000 miles, it held almost 60% of its original value. That is not a car. That is an appreciating asset. United Nations aid workers drive Land Cruisers in Somalia, Afghanistan, and South Sudan. Australian outback ranchers drive them across hundreds of kilometers of red dirt every day. The Red Cross relies on them in disaster zones where roads do not exist. The reason is the mechanical philosophy. Live axles. A real transfer case. a naturally aspirated V8 that was designed to be repaired with basic tools in places where no parts store exists. The Land Cruiser was built to run in environments where failure means death. Private buyers in Los Angeles and Miami are paying premium prices for used Land Cruisers right now because collectors have figured out what mechanics always knew. These trucks are going to be running when the current crop of luxury SUVs is long gone to the junkyard. If you can find a clean Land Cruiser with documented maintenance, you are not buying a used car. You are buying a piece of automotive engineering that will outlive you.